Hi, welcome to the lecture. This is going to be a quick introduction to how DNS works. Am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Yeah, nice. First things first, in order to access a website or for that matter any resource on the internet, you need its IP address. But IP addresses are really hard to memorize. Well, at least in comparison to user-friendly host names. So DNS does the heavy work for you, and by maintaining a registry of host name to IP address mappings. So, for example, if you wanted to access a website, say youtube.com, you could send a request to a DNS server. It would return you the IP for that corresponding website, which you can then use to communicate with the website directly.
Now, a question may arise in your mind. What DNS server are you using? Your ISP, that is the Internet Service Provider, finds it for you. When you connect to the internet, the router connects to your ISP and asks for an IP address. The ISP would return it an IP along with the addresses of your DNS server or servers, which are then stored in the router. The router can directly act as a DNS server itself and resolve your queries, or can provide a list of other DNS servers to our machines on which the machine can query itself. Generally, we see that a combination of the two is taken into practice. Now, let's talk about the real world. Each DNS query we make goes through several layers of abstraction to search for the IP we need. The DNS mappings for some hosts are stored in a host file, which is stored at /etc/hosts in Unix based systems, and some are cached locally, and this is called the local DNS cache. These queries being responded by the local system itself are known as internal queries. If we don't find the required host names internally, we make an external query to the external DNS servers. To store the answers to your DNS queries, a particular format is used to store each hostname to IP mapping, and each of them is called a DNS record. DNS servers have two ways of storing these records, either in a zone file or in the cache. Zone files are loaded with some DNS records and return one if one of them is requested. Cache simply contains the DNS records acquired through previous user queries. Each DNS server has an upstream which it queries if it is itself not able to find the DNS record for the requested hostname. And then this external record is cached in that DNS server in case of further queries. If a DNS server responds to the DNS queries using the zone file, it is called an authoritative response. And if the response is given through the server's cache, it is called a non-authoritative response. As you might guess, authoritative responses are more secure because DNS cache is vulnerable to cache poisoning attacks, making cache less reliable. Clients can specify in their DNS queries if they wish to only receive an authoritative response in cases where security is crucial. But for security, we need to compromise with the speed of responses as authoritative responses are slower as we ignore caches, and it would mean that the query would have to go through more layers or more servers before getting the required response. Just to make you feel that we are talking about the real world, this is how a DNS server's zone file looks. Each record in a zone file is stored in a fixed format containing all the necessary information. So, as mentioned earlier, if a DNS server is not able to answer the DNS query using the zone file or the cache, it sends a request to its upstream. The addresses of these upstream servers are stored in the form of root hints. Root hints, simply stated, are a list of DNS servers on the internet that your DNS servers can use to resolve queries for host names that it does not know. Using root hints, the queries are forwarded to the appropriate server.
Yes, so now that we have all the components, we can start putting them together and try to understand how recursive queries are actually resolved. So by now you understand that the way that the domain DNS resolution works is You send a query to a DNS server with a hostname that you want to resolve. The DNS server looks for that record in its zone file and its local cache, and if it cannot find it, it forwards that to the upstream. The next DNS server does the same. So this means that we can visualize DNS servers as kind of a hierarchical structure, and at the very top of this hierarchy lie the root servers. Now, there's only 13 root servers maintained by 12 and these root servers are the absolute authority. Root servers don't directly contain any DNS records, but they have references to all major top level domain servers. In practice, however, queries to the root servers are quite rare because you see, as you ascend up the DNS ladder, chances are you probably come across a server that has the record you're looking for in its cache or its zone file. So to understand how recursive queries work, let's for the moment assume that you send a request to a local DNS server and this DNS server is unable to find a record in its local cache and it directly queries the root server. Now, your the domain, the hosting that you're looking for needs to be broken up into subparts. So, say for example, you're looking for docs.google.com. So you have a subdomain, a domain, and then a domain extension which is .com, which we refer to as a top level domain or TLD. If the way a recursive query works is your local DNS server keeps on contacting other servers on your behalf until it finds the IP address that you're looking for. So it would so in this case, since we're assuming that it directly calls the root server, the root server would know the root server would respond to something. I don't actually know the IP for this host name, but I know who you can ask, and it would return the IP address for the .com TLD server. Then you contact the .com TLD server. It says I don't exactly know the IP for this domain, but I can tell you who to ask, and then it would return you the IP for the authoritative server on the google.com namespace. And the authoritative server for any namespace contains all the subdomains of that domain in its zone file. So when you contact the DNS server for google.com, you would get the exact IP address for docs.google.com that you're looking for, and there you have it, and you can use that IP to access the website. And that's about it from our side. We're open to questions. Thank you. You can ask your question in the chat right now if you feel like it, or you can contact us later at chat.sslabs.co if you want.